At last, Nigeria's most nagging problem is gone. Motorists now drive in and out to buy petrol without delays. It's a stark contrast with what we saw here last week. Queues for fuel stretched for kilometers, and motorists spent hours to get fuel. The crisis was a result of a stalemate on whether to raise fuel prices or maintain the current pump price. The government stood its ground and refused to allow a price hike, and instead walked back on its earlier policy to end fuel subsidy. It also penalized those caught hoarding fuel. The government fears an increase in fuel prices might drive up inflation, something an economy emerging from a recession cannot afford.
What I would recommend is government set a threshold which anything below the threshold, government bears the subsidy because of the economic effects it will have. But at some point, anything, price movement outside, above that threshold, government should put in place a structure to pass on that price movement. So people are readily, they can prepare for this price movements. On a long-term basis, the ideal thing is fully deregulate. So in other words, you have dynamic changes of prices.
Nigeria is Africa's biggest producer of crude oil, but it imports up to 90% of the fuel consumed locally. It has 4 refineries, but all of them are dated and suffer frequent breakdowns. The Petroleum Ministry wants to revamp them and also license more private ones. The idea is to refine enough fuel, not just for the local market, but exports as well.
Domestic refining will help us, is that it would always give us supply. Supply is so critical. Take, for instance, this recent scarcity. Part of it was because of a shortfall. People sensed, there's going to be, NNPC may not be able to meet supply to the market, and they started to hoard. Once you know there's a refinery at the back that is always refining, always has product, then you won't have scarcity. And what that means is that people will not be prone to hoard PMS product because of maybe a shortfall in importation.
The current increase in cost of fuel imports is attributed to gains in crude oil prices and Hurricane Harvey that cut output of refiners in the U.S. The NNPC imports up to 80% of the 35 million liters of petrol consumed daily. By reinstating fuel subsidy, it will now have to cough out over $2 million daily or $1 billion plus a year to keep pump prices at about 40 cents. Kelechi Amekalam, CGTN Abuja, Nigeria.